No matter how we touch Mars, we'll never touch it. And then we'll get mad at it, and you know what we'll do? We'll rip it up, rip the skin off, and change it to fit ourselves. We won't ruin Mars, said the captain. It's too big and too good. You think not? We Earthmen have a talent for ruining big, beautiful things. The only reason we didn't set up hot dog stands in the midst of the Egyptian temple of Karnak is because it was out of the way and served no large commercial purpose. And Egypt is a small part of Earth. But here, this whole thing is ancient and different, and we have to set down somewhere and start fouling it up. We'll call the canal the Rockefeller Canal, and the mountain King George Mountain, and the sea the DuPont Sea, and there'll be Roosevelt and Lincoln and Coolidge cities, and it won't ever be right when there are proper names for these places. The second part of the Martian Chronicles is what I call the human cycle. It's meant to show us all our failings, all the small and petty things that will one day take us apart. But how it does so is brilliant. It doesn't just beat you over the head with these ideas. Rather, it's set up as a contrast to the Martian cycle, the first group of stories that we talked about last time. And the genius of it is this. In the Martian cycle, Bradbury allows us to observe Martian society. He gets us to see all of the ways in which it's small-minded and decadent and self-absorbed. And because they're Martians, we don't object to that. We don't have any knee-jerk reaction to defend what they do. And because they are small-minded and decadent and self-absorbed, it's very easy to see how fragile their society is, how it's on the decline. How, even though they don't realize it, they are only one major disaster away from collapse. And only then does Bradbury present us with the humans. And because he's shown us the Martians first, it's harder for us to object to or to avoid coming to the same conclusions when he shows us the ways in which we're no different. It's hard for us to fall back on our instinctual rejection of ideas like humanity might wipe itself out, or that our country might not be the best, freest, and most equal it could possibly be. It's this setup that paves the way for the rest of the book. This technique of getting us to look objectively at things by presenting them in a context where we have no stake in not doing so, and then suddenly pulling back the curtain and showing us that he was talking about us all along. In the short story, The Moon Be Still as Bright, he talks about the dangers of colonialism and its disregard for cultures that went before, going so far as to have a Cherokee character bring up the colonization of the American frontier to hammer the point home. In The Locusts, he refers to the rocket ships as locusts and talks about our need to remake everything in an image we understand. In The Night Meeting, a strange event occurs and a human and a Martian meet. One is from the future, one is from the past, but they cannot agree who is who. Both believe that their civilization is alive and vital, and refuse to accept the possibility that their civilization might one day be dead and gone. In The Fire Balloons, which is often placed among the works in the Illustrated Man, but has occasionally shown up in editions of the Martian Chronicles because it is a Mars story, Bradbury pushes back against rigid religious thinking. The idea that we know all we need to know because it has been, because the whole truth has been revealed to our religion, and we have it in its complete form. In it, he expresses his own views through the mouth of a priest. He says, "The way I see it, there is a truth on every planet. All parts of the big truth. On a certain day, they'll all fit together like the pieces of a jigsaw. This has been a shaking experience. I will never doubt again, Father Peregrine. For this truth here is as true as Earth's truth, and they lie side by side. And we'll go on to other worlds, adding the sum of the parts of the truth until one day, the whole total will stand before us like the light of a new day." He shows children macabrely using Martian rib cages as toys and xylophones in The Musicians to make us feel revulsion toward the idea of disrespecting the past, only to cap off the story by telling us that men with flamethrowers are coming to burn the old Martian city to ash to make way for new human things. Then there's Way in the Middle of the Air, which you might not have seen, as this particular short story has been removed from several recent editions of the Martian Chronicles, sometimes for use in other collections of Bradbury stories, sometimes, I would guess, for the use of the N-word, but it is one of the strongest indictments of American racism that you will find in science fiction, or even popular literature to that point. Usher 2 is about censorship in the name of decency, and is very much the forebearer to Bradbury's later work, Fahrenheit 451. Then there's one last tale of selfishness and the inability to let go in The Martian, before we begin the headlong rush toward the most shocking moment in the book. It reads, "Earth changed in the black sky. It caught fire. Part of it seemed to come apart in a million pieces, as if a gigantic jigsaw had exploded. It burned with an unholy dripping glare for a minute, 3 times normal size, then dwindled." What was that? Sam looked at the green fire in the sky. Earth. Nuclear war rips Earth apart. All of humanity's failings have come to a head. No one on Mars really knows what happened or if there's anyone left. All that remains are a few lonely humans clinging to a red rock in space. But you have to remember, Bradbury called himself a preventer of futures, not a predictor of them. This whole section, the human cycle, is meant as a cautionary tale, an exploration of how not to be. It's intended as a mirror for our flaws so that we might be better. And it's that note that we'll end on next time as we explore the final section of the book, The New Martian Chronicle, in The Million Year Picnic.